Once again, we've invited a dozen of PR's top pros to share their hot takes, advice, and predictions for communications in 2025. Among the topics they discussed, multiplying the impact of earned PR, the need for action, not change, reaching out to the huge 47 million rural population in America through its own media channels, tips for enhancing client relationships, and a refresh on intentional listening. So I hope you listen intentionally to what they had to say.
I think one of the things that's going to be most important in 2025 is thinking about action and thinking about the actions that you take and being very action oriented rather than being change oriented. Something that is very inherent to the world of PR and PR professionals is the need for authenticity and also consistency. And then the actions that you take around that, I think for this year in particular, and perhaps, future forward, is really where the power in business communications is going to come from.
This is really the year where folks should be thinking about how do you multiply the impact of your PR. And so once you get those golden pieces of media coverage, how are you using your digital channels, your digital engine, right, to micro target that coverage back to your key stakeholders, your ecosystem, your customers, your investors? And then tracking that, and then sort of looking at that next step of what is the next stage in their journey. So it's really multiplying the impact of earned media in 2025.
We have these larger editorial meetings where we share sort of news and developments that we've learned about, and then we stand up these working groups around some of the stories to get the maximum impact. And so that really is important. So the structure of your team, the agility of your team, making sure that you create the room and space to navigate as well. I know sometimes we are so quick to sort of try to place that story because we're either excited or because the pressures of getting and landing that story. But it's really important to slow down a bit and make sure that you have considered how the story comes together in sort of the right, more effective way to get the maximum impact.
Intentional listening is going to become increasingly important. We have more sophisticated tools. We have better ways to target. We have content that's driving narrative. But often companies, organizations, politicians, especially in the healthcare space, miss the mark, not because they didn't connect with their target, but because they didn't understand what they were thinking or what motivates them. I think a refresh on intentional listening is going to become incredibly important as we move into the new year.
Business transformation and corporate reputation are now inseparable. And the organizations that thrive in this environment are the ones that take a multi-stakeholder approach and pair the right data and research with the talent to be able to create personalized, authentic, and trusted communications.
What's really important is not only to focus on which technologies are right for the work that you do and your team's work, but how those technologies impact the end result. Staying focused on core fundamentals, such as key messaging, smart strategy, and execution seamlessly. Technology is going to help us, but technology is not the end result. It's how we incorporate the technology in our work that's going to be critical in 2025.
76% of people say when DEI initiatives are attacked, either internally or externally, companies should address the criticism directly. And this shows that trust in DEI remains high and the expectation for companies to engage rather than retreat. And there are really 5 top ways that companies and leaders can defend DEI work. Number 1, demonstrate the positive impacts of the work on every employee base. Take critiques seriously and use those to strengthen your strategies and programs. Defend the work with facts through things like annual impact reports, but also consistent communication. Invite critics to the table to meaningful dialogue and really address the concerns they have and answer their questions. And finally, encourage employees to speak up about their experience. How has belonging increased for them because of the DEI initiatives that exist?
As I talk to marketers, it's clear that they live in a crisis of confidence. So as PR people, we have an opportunity to counsel them with more precision and more predictability. So as people think about what AI is all about and how they're going to use AI, it should become much more than a buzzword. To me, it really is about how do we use data and AI to create much more precision, which then should lead us to a greater predictability of outcome. And the closer we can get to predictability, the more we become the antidote for the crisis of confidence.
I believe one of the primary focuses for 2025 is going to be on data. Data is a large word, it encompasses a lot, but two primary points. One is that the data will absolutely be able to help our dollars work harder by connecting the dots. So how do we use that data to determine who we're speaking to and where they are? But on the flip side, also making sure that we're not losing that authenticity. So really keeping the humans at the heart of the story, which is what we've done, from a foundational perspective.
Pay attention to the 46 million people that live and work in rural America. I personally and professionally do a lot of work in this subset of our population, which is 14% of the US population. And I'm surprised that many people aren't aware that there's a whole ecosystem of media channels that reach people in farming communities and in other rural areas, like where I live and work. It's a very efficient way of reaching people in this part of our country. And it also will give corporations instant credibility because you are taking your messages to the media outlets that they have grown to respect and trust over the years.
You need to completely rethink the definition of media, because the truth of the matter is today everybody is media. And media is really now defined on personal terms, which means what people see is what they consider media. So that could be an online article, a creator social post, or even a celebrity podcast. The lines are completely blurred. The second is that polarization is profitable, and so it's not going anywhere. And that means that brand safety is going to be critical in terms of how we navigate this new year.
With everything that's been going on in the United States, it's going to be so important for us to be approaching our client relationships with curiosity, heading into one-on-one conversations and group meetings with questions that are going to help us really understand their environment and the challenges that they're facing. And the better we understand those, the more we can collaboratively work with them on solutions to help move their organizations forward.
Thanks for tuning in to our video podcast. And if you'd like to be part of this special ongoing series throughout the year, let us know at PR's Top Pros Talk at dssimonmedia.com.